after Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, was killed in the bombings, many Iranians abroad that have taken to the streets to celebrate. Let's take a look.
Elated, happy, ecstatic. It feels like what's been bearing on our shoulders for the last 47 years, it's finally done and dusted. People can take a breath of fresh air, united, with one voice, one movement.
We've been always trying to get to freedom and democracy, and now it's a big chance that finally the free world is standing with us and trying to help us to achieve democracy.
Professor Yang, I'm wondering about the power of example here. I'm wondering what kind of signal, what kind of impact might it have in terms of influencing public sentiment, perhaps inside China itself?
I think from Donald Trump's perspective, this is what he hoped for. That is a regime change. And yet, okay, we have to wait, see whether his dream will come true. I think the Iranians' response, unlike the Venezuela's regime, I think one has to differentiate it. The two regimes, when it comes to its a resilience to external pressure. So we have to be very cautious and be patient and to see what would be the next chapter. All right. But I do have some reservation about this. I do not believe that one could easily to identify the Venezuela-style collapse with the Iranians. Well, let's see.
Well, okay, for sure, China is a different beast in its own right, for sure. I'm wondering, so Professor Cai, I think if you're sitting in Beijing right now, if you're sitting in Zhongnanhai, how do you think China will affect new policy adaptation responses, perhaps on internal security terms, as a way to stabilize its own domestic situation in light of this international pressure?
Yeah, I think maybe they have to double down the system, right? Because they are afraid of, we call this color revolution stuff, or maybe domino effect. So it's very urgent for them to sort of to clamp down the distance, and also in the meantime they have to build up a bigger war, you know, to censorship that kind of information. So this is a nightmare, especially for autocratic leaders. This is very, very important for them because maybe they are not the next because they got nuclear bombs. But the thing is that it's very important, you know, if you have outside, you know, external pressure, and then it can be a signal for the average people to rise up and against the authoritarian regime, something like that.
All right, so that's the point about, I guess, information flow control and also doubling down internal resources. Professor Yuan, I see that you seem to have something you want to add to that topic.
I think that there's an important element that one should not dismiss about this episode so far that we have not touched upon. I think what constitutes a fatal blow to China, I think it should be reconsidered. I think Donald Trump 2.0, he demonstrated this to everybody, surprised everyone, China included. I think what has been witnessed so far, that is what happened in Venezuela and then now is happening in Iran, is a fatal blow to what China has been wished for. That is the fatal blow on their time-honored construction on One Belt, One Road. I think that has to be reckoned with the following wave of operation by the U.S. So that would be an issue needs to be dealt with carefully.
Right, a One Belt, One Road argument, certainly economic reverberation as well. And I think on that point about U.S. relation with China, Professor Cai, I'm also wondering, seeing that China's friends seem to be going through this ordeal by U.S., do you think China will rethink about its approach towards U.S.? Like, do you see a more moderating or even a softening attitude from China towards the U.S. in days and months to come?
I think before the meeting of Trump and Xi, at the end of I think this month, right?
Yeah, end of March or early April, they're talking
something
about.
like that. So before that, China would just maybe have some pragmatic approach. They're not gonna escalate tensions with the United States because in this time, Trump has many cards to play. Especially China is losing its allies for Venezuela and Iran, the clink. So this is not good for China. So they better, sometimes they have to think twice in terms of a lot of stuff, especially to Taiwan. Have you noticed these 5 days, they didn't send any aircraft, crossing the median line of Taiwan Strait. I mean, this is amazing. But the thing is that maybe they say, oh, this is too much for us to have that kind of energy. We have a crisis here, so maybe it's time to call it off, something like that. This is very good. Yeah.
Right. That's pretty low key by Chinese standard for sure.
Yes,
when it comes to cross-strait tension. So we talk about China's internal policy response. We talk about external response when it comes to China-U.S. Professor Yang, I'm wondering, when it comes to third party, now that China's old friends in Venezuela and Iran seem to be going through trouble, let's say, where do you think China might be looking for in terms of looking for new friends?
I think one has to have a clear understanding of what constitutes the current international order, what components on top, unipolar, that is a U.S.-led war order, and followed by a bilateral one, and then followed by a multilateral. I think that it constitutes a new form of a hybrid war order. That is why, to answer your question, so any third party, we have to take into account their position in this whole pictures. That is why I think we have already collected sufficient information to see the way through which that the global South country react to this situation, this challenge. I think they have already modified their leaning toward to one end into a walk with two legs. So they are seeking for a balanced posture amongst all the especially with the big power within the global South bloc.
Right, balanced posture means I guess, a turbulent in transition world order for sure at this moment. I think, of course, we are doing this recording in Taiwan, so one natural question I'm wondering is, what does all this mean for Taiwan? And maybe I'll start with Professor Tsai. What do you think Taiwan should be reading, and how should Taiwan be responding to this?
Yeah, I think it's very important, but for Xi Jinping, he's not gonna cut Taiwan some slack but the thing is that he and his army understand they cannot mess up with the United States, right? So because it's too costly to invade Taiwan now, and also maybe it's better for them to think twice before making any move on Taiwan. This is very, very important, especially for Trump. He tried to send a message. He used to say, if you attack Taiwan, I'm gonna bomb Beijing. Something like that. This is not 100% sure, but it might be, there will be a chance for Donald Trump to do that kind of stuff. So this is very, very good for, especially for deterrence.
Right.
Send a message and very clearly, don't mess up with us. We are the most powerful military in the world.
So
yes.
Almost an implicit threat, one that amplifies deterrence, and one that's, we used to say in Chinese, right, you kill the chicken to scare the big monkey. So in that sense, a couple of chickens have been killed so far in terms of China's friend in Iran and Venezuela.
Yes.
How about you, Professor Yan?
It's a perfect time for Taiwanese to revisit the classical debate as how to diversify our energy security. Yes. I think this crisis, once heightened urgent need for Taiwan from all walks of life. We address the issue is how to safeguard, to safeguard in times of urgency.